Hey everyone, Tiago here. Today we're going to be taking a look at this. This is going to be a PlayStation 5 controller, Hex Gaming Phantom, and this has Hall effect sticks as well for any drift concerns or anything like that. Now, this is a fairly unique controller. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty highly modified controller. You can buy these on Amazon. It's not exactly like you're ordering through a customization or anything like that. These are kind of like ready to ship models that come with these type of features, and it has some really interesting features that very few controllers on the market, especially for the PlayStation 5, actually have. So let's start by talking about probably the biggest draw, the Hall effect sticks. Now there is also the Phantom controller with the regular sticks. It's going to be a little bit cheaper than this one. This one retails for around like 250 bucks. So I would recommend you get the Hall effects one, even though the traditional potentiometer one is also basically the same thing aside from the potential for drift. The Hall effects one is just just a little bit cooler. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor, VIP-CDKdeals.com, a Windows Pro CD key. Add to cart, you put in code CC20. This will also work on Windows 11. You want to go into your settings in Windows, change and adjust your CD key, click activate, and now let's go back to the video. You see you get a little sticker here that's removable. I left it on, but it says Hall effect joystick, so you know exactly what it is. Now, I've bought these in the past. I have another one that's Hall effects, that's blue, that I've had ever since they came out. This one here, the white one, Hex Gaming sent to me to review. So it's a beautiful color. So very, very nice. And you have the triggers and the bumpers, very nice as well. And then you have the grip on the back. Then obviously your back buttons. So the Hall effect sticks, they're very nice in this. They have a really, really nice feel. The thumbsticks themselves, you can adjust. And you'll notice when you use a Hall effect controller for the first time, if you're used to the traditional DualSense, you may have to adjust some of your settings. They can be a little more sensitive and maybe a little more accurate. Now, this one does have like custom face buttons and a custom D-pad in terms of the button kit. It's like a transparent color, white, so that way you can see through. It looks really, really nice. They're not mouse click or tactile or anything. They're using sort of the traditional membrane that you'll have on a PlayStation 5. So if you have a regular PlayStation 5 controller, these feel pretty much like that, but they look cooler, which is pretty cool. Touchpad is also a regular, no mouse click or anything like that. And then instead of a PlayStation logo, you have right in the middle here the little Hex Gaming logo. Now, things get really interesting when you get to the top of the controller. The bumpers on this one are just regular PlayStation 5 bumpers, so that's not where the magic is. But the triggers, listen to that. The triggers, aside from being a cool blue, they're going to be mouse click. They have mouse click triggers in here. So that way, if you're playing Call of Duty, you have some very fast actuation or any FPS game or anything like that. And the question may be, all right, you're playing Call of Duty, right? And maybe you want to play a different game. These mouse clicks are great for that. But then let's say you want to play a racing game where you need to maybe, modulate the gas pedal or the brake pedal with these little buttons on the back. And you can do this in game super quick. Look at that. All of a sudden, you have the same, adaptive feedback, haptic feedback system of the PlayStation 5 controller, and you can play racing games. It basically goes back to a stock PlayStation 5 controller. And then obviously you're going to have your profiles here too. And that's where we're going to talk about the back buttons, because these are actually super unique as well. They're positioned very well, very comfortable. And if you listen to them, if you buy like a different Pro controller, even the AIM controller has these fantastic paddles, but they're tack switches. This one sounds like mouse clicks. It sounds like the top of the controller, literally the same switch. Listen to that, the bottom and now the top. So they're very satisfying to use, and I think they're very comfortable. They're laid out in a nice positioning, especially with the grip that this has. Very nice textured, like little rubber grip. It just feels super ergonomic. If you already like the PlayStation 5 controller, this will feel even better. So obviously you can switch your profiles. I'll usually map like the bottom one to X and then to circle the right one, and then maybe square and triangle for the top ones, depending on what game you're playing.
So very, very nice to have the back buttons. The idea is you use the back buttons so you can keep your thumbs like free for aiming or for moving around, especially in an FPS game. But in any game, it could be pretty useful. That way, it's just fun to kind of click the back buttons, maybe more ergonomic. So that's certainly pretty unique. Not many controllers out there with like mouse click back buttons. So very, very nice feature. And then the back's pretty straightforward. And then you have, basically everything else is kind of like a regular PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. So overall, I'm very happy with this. Highly recommend this. Likely will never have a problem with this. And, Hex Gaming stands behind, their products. They're very, very good. And, they just make very high quality stuff. So very impressed with this. Let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll see you guys on the next video.